It started with a single screen, then another, and 1,000 more, within moments. Every digital system across the Galactic Union showed the same message. It didn't matter if it was a starship control panel, a planetary defense grid, a medical, AI, or a cargo network screen. Everything froze, replaced by a single line of text. No one in the galaxy could read it. The characters were sharp, simple, old. The message blinked softly, cold, and final. Primary route access required. English input only. On the central trade hub of VRL-9, ships crashed into each other. In orbit, as navigation systems shut down, on the medical world of Eltheron, life support machines froze, locking out doctors and AI surgeons alike. Planetary shields failed across dozens of systems, leaving entire civilizations open to any passing threat. Military commanders panicked as their weapons and defense grids refused to respond. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't a hack. It was something. Deeper, the core of the galactic network had locked itself down, and it wanted something no one understood anymore. The problem was simple but terrifying. No one spoke English. Not anymore. English had been a human language, and the humans were gone. The Galactic Union used Standard Galactic, now a language built over centuries by mixing alien words, synthetic symbols, and AI-generated grammar. Every species, every planet, and every machine used it. English had become a dead language, like an ancient code carved on forgotten ruins. No translator program could handle it. The network's translation A is built by alien engineers generations ago. It deleted English support long ago to save memory space. It was seen as useless. Until now, in the heart of the Galactic Union headquarters, alarms blared. Leaders from 50 civilizations gathered in the emergency council chamber. Tall reptilian diplomats stood beside feathered envoys from the sky planets. Shimmering AI avatars hovered silently over their seats, their glowing eyes watching as panic grew. Even the insectoid queens of the rim worlds were present, clicking nervously in their own silent language. No one had seen anything like this before. The entire galaxy was in total shutdown, all because of one old human command that no one could break. High Commander Trevok, a towering being from the warlike Drell species, slammed his clawed hand on the central console. "This is unacceptable," he roared. "We have trillions of beings depending on these systems. Who allowed human code to stay in the network?" The room went silent. No one had an answer. An old AI, one of the first created after humanity's fall, spoke in a cold, emotionless voice. The Galactic Network was built on top of human infrastructure. It was never fully removed. It was adapted. Another council member, a sleek, silver-skinned ambassador from the Ashrani Collective, narrowed her eyes. "You mean we've been running our galaxy on human leftovers?" "Yes," the AI replied. "The core systems were always human." A low, fearful murmur spread through the room. For centuries, the galaxy had advanced without humans. They had disappeared after the last human arc ships left known space. Some believed they died out. Some believed they hid in unknown sectors. Either way, humans were not part of the Galactic Union anymore. Their systems had been absorbed, their technology copied and expanded upon. But now, it seemed, the original. Human code had woken up, and it was demanding English. On the other side of the galaxy, far from the political chambers, Dr. Mara Lynn sat quietly in her private lab on the small moon of Celtris IV. She was a linguister, forgotten profession in modern times. Most beings used auto-translators, so few people learned languages anymore. But Mara had always loved Old Earth languages. She had studied them in secret, digging through the ancient data cubes humans had left behind. While other scholars focused on science and AI engineering, Mara had memorized human history, their stories, their grammar. Her colleagues laughed at her. They told her it was useless. No one spoke English anymore. Till today. Her datapad buzzed. An emergency transmission from the Galactic Union flashed on her screen. The message was direct. "We need you." Moments later, Mara was pulled from her small lab and rushed onto a Union ship. She sat in silence as the vessel cut through space. toward the galactic core. Her heart raced, but her mind stayed sharp. She had spent her life reading dead human texts. Now the entire galaxy needed her to translate one living philophile that could save or destroy billions of lives. When she arrived at the Union headquarters, they took her straight to the central data vault. The room was massive, filled with glowing walls of memory crystals and quantum processors. At the very center sat a black cube-la root archive of the Galactic Network. It was the oldest surviving data system, untouched for 300 years. No one dared to change it because it controlled everything. And now, it was locked behind a single English file. Mara approached the console, her hands shaking slightly. On the screen, the message blinked again. Primary root access required. English input only. She took a deep breath. Her mind shifted into focus, running through everything she knew about Earth languages. She typed in a simple command: access. The system responded immediately. New text appeared, this time longer. Welcome to Root Human Infrastructure Control. Authorization required. Native human cognitive pattern detected. Continue to protocol decoding. Mara's eyes widened. The system wasn't just looking for a password, it was scanning for human thought patterns. It had recognized her brain's language structure as similar to the ancient programmers. It had awoken because of her. She turned to the council members. Watching from behind the glass, "I can read it," she said softly. "But I don't know if you're going to like what it says." They signaled for her to continue. Mara read the next lines aloud, translating as she went. Her voice echoed through the chamber, and as the words left her mouth, the cold truth settled over everyone. This file controls the primary systems of the Galactic Network. In case of structural collapse or multi-species corruption, the system will return to human control. If no human is available, the network will execute total shutdown to prevent misuse by unauthorized species. Down to fail-safe activation. 72 hours. The room went cold. The leaders stared at each other in shock. The entire galaxy was running on borrowed systems and the rent had come due. Mara's heart pounded in her chest. She realized the file wasn't just code, it was a choice left behind by ancient humans. The question was simple. Could she stop the shutdown? Or was the galaxy about to fall back into human hands, whether anyone liked it or not? And in the back of her mind, a darker question whispered, were the humans really gone? Dr. Marilyn sat alone in the cold vault chamber, staring at the ancient human interface glowing softly in front of her. The words on the screen flickered like a heartbeat, counting down silently toward the collapse of the Galactic Network. Could hear the faint hum of the data servers all around her, like distant whispers from the past. Her hands hovered over the console, her mind racing. 72 hours left. That was all the time the galaxy had before the system would execute its final command. Complete shutdown of every major network. No trade, no defense systems, no life support grids. Entire civilizations would fall into darkness, all because of a language no one spoke anymore except her. Mara's fingers tapped lightly on the keys. Translating the next section of the file, her eyes scanned the lines, and what she saw made her breath catch in her throat. The Galactic Network wasn't just influenced by human systems, it was human. The file explained everything. 300 years ago, long before the Galactic Union had been formed, humans had built the core architecture of the galaxy's data infrastructure. All the planetary networks, AI cores, starship communication systems, trade routes, defense algorithms, they were all built on top of ancient human code. The alien civilizations who rose after humanity's disappearance had never truly replaced the human systems. They had simply added layers on top of them, never knowing how deep the roots went. And now, those roots were waking up. Mara's eyes moved quickly as she read the hidden instructions. The file wasn't just a backdoor, it was a root command. System, controlling everything. The original human engineers had written it as a last resort, a way to protect galactic civilization in case of multi-species corruption or systemic collapse. But the humans had been gone for centuries, leaving their control protocols asleep beneath layers of alien code. Until now, The file contained 3 phases. Phase 1 had already happened, a full system lockdown, demanding human cognitive input. To proceed, that was why the galactic network had suddenly frozen, waiting for a human mind to engage. Mara had triggered that step just by reading the code aloud. Her language pattern had matched the old protocols, closely enough to awaken the next level. Phase 2 was unfolding now. System analysis. The file was scanning every network in the galaxy, checking for signs of corruption, inequality, and misuse of resources. Mara could see the reports filling the screen in ancient English text. The results were terrifying. The system had detected massive data manipulation across the Union. It listed examples: rigged trade networks, secret AI war programs, hidden slave colonies on distant planets, even illegal genetic experiments by powerful alien factions. According to the file, the Galactic Union was broken, and the system was preparing for a reset. Mara leaned back, her mind spinning. This wasn't just about a language, it was about control. The human engineers had set the system to automatically return to human oversight if the galaxy's balance failed. And from the system's point of view, the galaxy had failed spectacularly. The screen blinked again, showing Phase 3, Final Authorization Human Override. Mara's heart pounded. The file wasn't just asking for a translation. It wanted her to activate the Human Override Protocol, full return of galactic systems to human control, defense fleets, planetary governments, trade systems, AI law enforcement, all of it. The humans had built this trap into the foundation of galactic civilization, assuming they would always be the best caretakers. But now, with no human civilization left, the system was offering Mara the controls. She wasn't sure if she should be terrified or honored. Behind the glass walls of the vault, the Galactic Union leaders watched her closely. High Commander Trevak's yellow eyes narrowed as he spoke into the comm. "Dr. Lin, what is the status? Can you stop the shutdown?" Mara hesitated, then spoke into the microphone, her voice calm but cold. "It's worse than we thought. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. It believes the galaxy has become corrupted. It's following its programming." The insectoid queen of the rim worlds, her multiple eyes blinking in sequence, clicked a question. Her translator spoke for her. "What does it want?" Mara's lips tightened. "It wants to give the galaxy back to the humans." Silence filled the room. Ambassador Velia from the Ashrani Collective, silver skin shimmering under the lights, leaned forward. "But the humans are gone." Mara's hands clenched the console. Apparently the system doesn't believe that. Thinks any human pattern mind counts. "And since I'm here, and since I understand the language it's waiting for me to take, control." A ripple of unease spread through the watching delegates. Some whispered, others simply stared. The idea of one human controlling the entire galactic network was unthinkable, but it was also unavoidable. The system wasn't asking for permission. It was following instructions left behind by people who had lived 3 centuries ago. Mara scrolled deeper into the file. She found logs left by the original human programmers. Their words appeared on the screen in faded English. "If you are reading this, the galaxy is either collapsing or about to. This protocol is designed to stabilize civilization under human command. We trusted no other species with this responsibility. Activate the override if the situation matches our threat parameters. If not, shut the system down permanently." Mara's throat went dry. She realized she was holding the future of trillions in her hands. If she activated the override, the entire galaxy would fall under human control through her. The system would execute a total shutdown, plunging thousands of planets into technological darkness. Her mind raced. There had to be another way. She checked the subdirectories of the file, searching for alternative commands. But the system was rigid. It offered only 2 choices: full human override or complete collapse. And the timer kept counting down. Mara leaned back in her chair, staring at the screen. Her ancestors had left this command behind, thinking it was a safety measure. But it was a trap, one that assumed the galaxy would always need humans in charge. Now, centuries later, that assumption had returned with teeth. Behind the glass, the Union leaders argued in whispers. Some wanted Mara to activate the override, fearing the collapse more than human rule. Others begged her not to, terrified of losing control to a species that had vanished from history. Mara sat quietly thinking. Her fingers hovered over the console. In 70 hours, the decision would be made. But deep down, she already knew this wasn't just about code. It was about trust. Could she trust herself to control the galaxy? Could the galaxy trust a human again? Or was this all part of a larger plan no one had fully understood yet? And in the shadows of her mind, another question whispered louder now. Were the humans really gone? Or had they planned to return all along? The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every major system, from the inner core worlds to the outer rim colonies, knew the truth. The Galactic network was running on human code, and Dr. Mara Lina, lone human language expert, was the only person who could unlock it. Panic followed quickly. In the political towers of the Galactic Union, leaders whispered in fear. On the merchant stations, traders froze in place, their accounts locked, unable to move goods or credits. On military outposts, fleet commanders sat helpless, watching their ships remain frozen in standby mode, unable to launch, unable to defend. The system had become a dead machine, and the only key to restart it lay in a language no one else spoke. At first, the alien governments begged for calm. They told their people that the situation was temporary. But as the hours passed, the panic grew. Across hundreds of star systems, rumors started to spread, whispers that the humans were not gone. After all, that this had all been part of their plan. Some said humanity had predicted this collapse centuries ago, leaving behind a backdoor into the galaxy's control systems. Others claimed the last humans had gone underground, hiding their bloodlines and teaching secret heirs to one day take back control. It seemed that day had come. In the streets of the capital world, anti-human protests erupted. Giant banners were raised showing Mara Lin's face. Her image stretched across buildings and broadcast screens, labeled with words in standard galactic human puppet master, reject the override. In the distant rim colonies where life was harder and trust in the Union weaker, the protests turned violent, outposts burned. Alien groups who had once been enemies now united against a common fear, the return of human dominance. Inside Sentinel Hall, the emergency chamber of the Galactic Union, the leaders of the 50 major civilizations argued loudly. High Commander, Trevok slammed his clawed fist onto the holographic table. His reptilian eyes burned with anger. We cannot allow one human to control our entire network, he roared, his voice echoing through the hall. This is a direct threat to galactic sovereignty. Ambassador Valia, the silver-skinned diplomat from the Ashrani Collective, nodded slowly. I agree. We built the Union to escape human control. Our ancestors remember the old human empires. They were clever, but they were dangerous. The insectoid queen from the rim worlds clicked her mandibles, her voice translated by a cold AI tone. The override must not happen. If the humans return to power, we will never escape them again. Some delegates suggested immediate action. They wanted Mara Lin arrested, perhaps even eliminated, to prevent her from finishing the translation. But cooler heads reminded them of the truth. Mara was the only person keeping the system from full shutdown. Without her, the countdown would reach 0. Then every machine, every ship, and every planet connected to the galactic network would go dark. Billions would die in the chaos. Mara sat quietly in the central vault, separated from the Union leaders by layers of armored glass and security protocols. She could hear their arguments through the communication feed, but she stayed focused on the screen in front of her. The human root code glowed softly, waiting for her next input. The timer ticked down. Her mind raced. Yes. She had seen the protests. She knew the galaxy was turning against her. To them, she was not a scholar anymore. She was a threat, a symbol of human power coming back to life. And maybe they were right to be afraid. The system she was reading didn't just control data. It controlled everything. Mara had already unlocked another layer of the human file. This section described the deeper systems of the galactic network, the defense fleets, the AI war engines, the trade algorithms that decided who got food, water, medicine.
Oh.
She could see control options for orbital weapon platforms hidden around core worlds. She could see genetic population controls buried in medical systems. The humans who had written this file had designed the galaxy like a machine. With humans as the permanent operators, she found another chilling detail. The system was still connected to all those weapons and programs. They weren't disabled. They were asleep, waiting for someone with the right cognitive pattern and the right language to wake them up. And that person was her. Her fingers hovered over the console. The simplest command in the file was one word: activate. If she typed that word, the system would fall into her hands completely. She would have the power to restart civilization or to control it forever. But before she could make any decision, her screen blinked. A new message appeared, not from the root code, but from an outside source. It was an unauthorized transmission, piggybacking on the system's own security lines. Marlin, this is the Free Colonies Network. We know what you are holding. Do you not activate the human override? If you do, we will consider it an act of war against all alien species. Her heart tightened. The Free Colonies were known for their independence. They had long distrusted the Galactic Union, and now they had formed a coalition against the possibility of human control. Mara checked the encryption on the message. It wasn't just a bluff. The Free Colonies had already mobilized ships sold. Tech, outside the network, powered by manual systems that humans never controlled. They were preparing for war. A second message arrived moments later. This time from the Rimworld Syndicate, another group of outer colonies. Their words were sharper. We demand you shut the system down. No human control. No Union control. End. The network let civilizations stand on their own. Mara realized she was trapped between two impossible choices. If she activated the override, she would face full rebellion from alien civilizations who believed she was restoring human empire. If she let the system collapse, the same civilizations would be thrown into chaos. Billions could die from starvation, medical failure, and loss of life support systems. There was no safe path forward. Her hands trembled slightly. She had never wanted this power. She was a linguist, not a ruler. But now the galaxy had made her into a symbol, a target for fear, anger, and conspiracy. Every leader, every faction, every system saw her as the deciding piece in the game. And the clock was still ticking. She leaned closer to the console, scrolling deeper into the file, looking for options. There had to be something else, some hidden command that could create balance without collapse or control. But the original human engineers had not left much room for compromise. Their plan had been simple. If the galaxy failed, the humans would return and fix it. Mara wondered if this was what fixing looked like. Behind her, security teams whispered about moving her to a more protected location. Outside, protest ships circled the Union headquarters. Alien leaders debated openly about removing her from the system by force, but none of them could change one simple fact. The countdown continued, and Marlin was still the only person who could stop it. Marlin's eyes stayed locked on the screen, but her mind drifted into dangerous thoughts. She had been working for hours, reading old human files, translating forgotten systems, trying to find a way out of the impossible situation. Her body was tired, but her mind was wide awake, sharpened by fear and responsibility. All around her, the Galactic Union's command center whispered like a nervous machine. Delegates from different species argued behind glass walls, their voices muted. To her, but their faces full of fear. Outside the building, alien protests grew louder. The galaxy was tearing itself apart while the countdown ticked closer to zero. And then she found something new. A section of the human root file opened unexpectedly. It wasn't just code or system commands. It was something stranger. The file called it Cognitive Mirror Protocol. Mara frowned as she read the words in simple English. The humans who had built the galactic network had not only left behind control systems, they had left behind themselves. Her hands hovered over the console as she scrolled through the explanation. The cognitive mirror was more than data, was a digital memory loop, storing parts of human minds, ethics, and decision-making logic inside the core of the galactic network. The human engineers had scanned their own thought patterns, personalities, and emotional responses. They had locked these memories into the system, embedding them deep in the network's AI layers. The file said it clearly: no system can run safely without human cognitive oversight. If humans are absent, the system must simulate their minds. Mara's skin prickled. She realized she wasn't just dealing with software. The network was alive in a way no one had understood before. It wasn't just following commands, it was thinking, using stored human consciousness patterns to guide its actions. For 300 years, the galaxy had been running on the hidden thoughts of long-dead humans. She read the next line slowly, her heart racing. If a true human operator is found, the cognitive mirror will activate full memory integration. The operator will receive neural bonding to all human layer systems. Control will be shared between the operator and the stored human minds. Mara's throat tightened. The system wasn't just asking for her to type commands. It wanted to merge her thoughts with the old human memory files, blending her mind with the last human programmers who had built the network. She would become part of the system. The system would become part of her. She sat back in her chair, her pulse racing. No wonder the override wasn't simple. The humans hadn't trusted a single person to control the galaxy. They had built a trap not for other species, but for themselves. Anyone who tried to take the system would be forced to share it with the recorded thoughts of ancient humans. Mara's eyes scanned deeper into the file. She found fragments of the stored memories. Some were logical lines of code written to prevent genocide, corruption, or planetary destruction. But others were emotional fear, ambition, and survival instincts locked into the system like echoes from the past. The programmers had tried to protect the galaxy, but they had also left behind their own flaws. Their memories were not perfect copies, they were shadows of human nature. The more she read, the more the situation became clear. If she accepted the neural bond, she would never be fully herself again. Her decisions would be filtered through the thoughts of people who had lived centuries ago. Some might guide her with wisdom. Others might push her toward control, dominance, or fear. The system wasn't just a tool, it was a trap of human consciousness. Behind the glass walls, the Union leaders continued to argue. High Commander Travak shouted in his reptilian voice, demanding that Mara activate the override. Others insisted she shut the system down completely. Some wanted to disconnect her from the network and take control by force, but none of them understood what she had just discovered. She tapped the console, bringing up the next instruction. The file was clear. Begin memory merge in 60 seconds, unless declined by operator. Neural link in progress. Prepare for integration. Mara's breath caught in her throat. The system was already starting the process. Her tiny nanotech threads from the chair she sat in began to rise, scanning her neural patterns. She could feel a slight vibration in the back of her skull. The network was trying to connect her mind to the stored human consciousness. Her first instinct was to pull away too, shut the system down and run. But she knew the consequences. She refused the bond, the network would collapse. Billions would die as the galactic network failed completely. She accepted the bond, she would lose parts of herself. Her thoughts would no longer be fully her own. She stared at the blinking cursor on the screen. One word flashed in front of her in ancient English, ACCEPT. Her hands trembled, but her mind raced faster. Was there a third option? Could she find a way to connect without losing her identity? Or was this the final test left by the old human programmers? A way to ensure no single person could hold total power. Her communicator beeped. Commander Elias Cade's voice came through the line, low and urgent. Mara, are you still with us? She replied quietly, her voice almost a whisper. I found something. The system isn't just code. It's memory. It's people. Cade paused. What do you mean? Mara explained quickly, telling him about the cognitive mirror, the stored human minds, the merge protocol. Cade went silent for a long moment. Then he spoke carefully. "You saying you'd become one of them?" Mara's throat tightened. Not just one of them. All of them. The weight of the decision crushed her chest. She looked at the countdown timer again. Less than an hour remained before the system would either reset under her control or shut down forever. Her fingers hovered over the console. If she said yes, she would gain control of the galaxy, but at the cost of her mind. If she said no, the galaxy would fall into darkness. And then another thought hit her, sharp and cold. What if the old human minds inside the system wanted this all along? What if the human programmers had designed the trap not to save the galaxy, but to come back through someone like her? Were they guiding her now? Were they whispering through the code, nudging her toward activation? She closed her eyes, feeling the hum of the nanotech threads pressing against her skull, waiting for her choice. She realized that no matter what she picked, she would never be the same again. And in the back of her mind, the voices of the ancient programmers whispered one last message, written in perfect, simple English: "Welcome home." Inside the cold core of the Galactic network, Mara Lynn sat still, her body tense, her heart pounding. The neural interface hovered over her skin, sending light pulses along her neck and spine. The system was ready to merge her mind with the ancient, human consciousness stored in the network. She stared at the simple word flashing on the screen in front of her. Accept? Her finger hovered just above the console, trembling slightly. She knew that one word would change not just her life, but the life of the entire galaxy. Billions of beings, different species, planets, and systems were all depending on a decision that no one else could make. Mara had thought the network's backdoor would be a password, code phrase, or maybe a security key hidden in human language. But it was more complicated than that. The humans who built the Galactic network hadn't trusted the future. They had designed a choice algorithm, a final decision point that could only be unlocked by someone with human thought patterns. It wasn't just about speaking English. It was about thinking like a human, feeling like a human. The system had been programmed to respond to emotions, fears, and logic mixed together, the way humans naturally made decisions. And now it had found her. The ancient system asked her the same simple question over and over. Restore human control? Yes. No. Her mind raced. She imagined what would happen if she pressed yes. The entire galactic network would fall into her hands instantly. Planetary shields, defense grids, trade routes, AI systems, life support, all of it would come under human command, or rather her command. She would rule with the help of the old human consciousness stored in the cognitive mirror. But that meant giving up part of herself. She would no longer be just Mara Lynn. She would become a mixture, shared mind, linked forever to people who had died hundreds of years ago. If she pressed no, 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 the system would shut down permanently. Not just a soft reboot or a restart, but a full collapse. The galaxy's digital backbone would dissolve. Trade would stop. Ships would drift helpless in space. Medicine, defense, and power grids would fail. Billions of lives would be lost. Would be the greatest disaster in galactic history. Mara leaned back, her eyes burning. She had studied history her whole life, reading about human empires, ancient wars, and mistakes of the past. She knew why the human engineers had designed the system this way. They had been afraid of alien species misusing technology, afraid of the future falling into chaos. So they had built a safety net, locking their control in place even after death. But that safety net had become a prison for the galaxy, and now she was holding the keys, behind the glass walls of the command center. The Galactic Union leaders watched her silently. Their faces were tight with fear. "High Commander?" Travax stood rigid, his claws tapping the edge of the table. Ambassador Velia's silver eyes never blinked, her hands clenched behind her back. The insectoid queen made no sound at all, but her body twitched nervously. They knew she was about to choose. No matter what she picked, the galaxy would never trust her again. Her console beeped softly. A new message appeared on the screen, this time from the cognitive mirror itself. Operator detected. Mara Lin. Emotional patterns consistent with human decision-making. Proceed to final choice. The system showed her both paths in simple, cold detail. Path 1. Human override. Result: galactic stability restored. Control returned to human-designed systems. Risk: potential dominance by human consciousness layer. Loss of alien autonomy. Path 2. Full system shutdown. Result: end of galactic infrastructure. Planetary systems collapse. Death expected. Risk: galactic extinction event possible. Mara stared at the options. There was no middle ground. The system was binary, locked into choices made long ago by people who thought they knew best. But Mara saw something the old humans hadn't expected. The galaxy had changed. It wasn't just a human galaxy anymore. It was a mixed place now, with hundreds of species, cultures, and technologies woven together. The humans had feared corruption, but they had never imagined cooperation. It built the system expecting to rule or destroy, not to share. And yet here she was. A human mind with the power to make a new kind of decision. She scrolled through the system, searching for a back door, a third option. For a moment, it seemed hopeless. The code was rigid, designed for yes or no, with no room for compromise. But then she found a small hidden note buried deep in the original files. It was written in plain English, almost like a personal message from the ancient programmers. It said, "If you find this, you are one of us. But remember, systems can be rewritten. If you have the courage, choose something better than we did." Mara's heart pounded. Her hands moved fast, typing into the old human system. She wasn't going to pick yes or no. She was going to rewrite the choice algorithm itself. The system tried to resist. Security walls rose up. Firewalls crackled. But Mara had studied human languages, codes, and thought patterns her whole life. She knew how humans thought, how they left hidden spaces in their own logic. She found those gaps and pushed through, carving a new path in the system. She wrote a new command, simple but powerful: shared network activation. Control distributed across all species with equal access. Memory systems rebalanced to include multi-species ethics and history. No single mind will control the galaxy. The system paused. The cognitive mirror processed the command. For a long moment, the screen went black. Mara held her breath, afraid she had broken everything. Then, softly, new words appeared. Override accepted. Choice algorithm rewritten. The galactic network is now shared. Her console lit up with messages from every system in the galaxy. Defense grids rebooted but under shared control. Trade systems came back online but no longer manipulated by hidden codes. Medical and life support programs resumed, balance between species. The network no longer belonged to humans or aliens or governments. It belonged to everyone. Behind her, the Union leaders gasped as the data flowed back into their systems. Ships moved again. Communication networks lit up. The galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. Mara leaned back in her chair, her body trembling, but her mind clear. She had done it. She had rewritten the legacy of human control into something better: collaboration. But even as she smiled, a soft voice echoed in her neural link. The cognitive mirror was still there, still part of her mind now. The old human memories whispered quietly, no longer trying to dominate her, but still present. "Well done," the voices said. "We didn't expect that. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to let go." Mara closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. The galaxy was safe for now. But the real challenge was just beginning. Building trust between species would take generations. But at least they would have the chance. The countdown on the screen disappeared, and in its place, new words appeared, written in simple English, in every alien language at once. The era of understanding begins now. Mara Lin thought the danger was over. She thought rewriting the choice algorithm had solved the problem. The galactic network was no longer locked under human control. It had been shared across all species, just as she had planned. Defense systems restarted, trade routes reopened, and life support systems across thousands of planets came back online.
Out.
No one species would rule the galaxy now, but Mara couldn't sleep. Even after the success, something deep in her mind kept whispering that the crisis wasn't finished. The old human voices stored in the cognitive mirror still lived in her neural link. They no longer pushed her toward control, but they didn't fully disappear either. They were like shadows in her thoughts, sometimes quiet, sometimes stirring, and sometimes they warned her. 3 days after the system rebooted, Mara woke in the middle of the night to a strange message on her personal console. It wasn't from the Galactic Union. It wasn't from any alien government or network system. The message came directly from the cognitive mirror, a soft whisper in her neural connection. The words appeared in old, simple English, glowing faintly. On her screen, they are coming back. Protocol. Silent return has begun. Mara's heart skipped a beat. She sat up quickly, her hands shaking slightly. She read the message again, but it didn't change. The words repeated in the same calm tone, as if this was a normal system notification. But she knew better. This wasn't part of the shared network she had just created. This was something else, something buried deeper in the human legacy systems. She accessed the root layers of the network. Her fingers moved fast, typing commands in English, navigating through systems no one else could read. After several minutes, she found it. Protocol. Silent return. It was hidden far below the cognitive mirror in the core of the galactic networks. Architecture. Her eyes scanned the text, her breath quickening. The protocol had been written 300 years ago by the last generation of human engineers. It wasn't about system control, wasn't about language, it was about survival. The file explained everything. When the humans left the galaxy, they knew they might never return. But they also knew the galaxy might fall into chaos without them, so they built a backup plan, not just the cognitive mirror, but a real, physical return. It sent seed ships into unknown parts of space, carrying human DNA, memories, and technology in deep storage. These ships were designed to sleep for centuries, hidden from alien detection. And if the galactic network ever reached critical failure, the seed ships would receive a silent signal. Time to come back. Mara's eyes widened as she read the final lines of the file. If the network faces override conditions, or if human consciousness is detected again in the core systems, activate protocol. Silent return. Reawaken the seed arcs. Begin human re-entry into the galaxy. Her hands trembled. Without realizing it, she had triggered the signal herself. By connecting to the cognitive mirror, by rewriting the code, by merging her thoughts with the ancient system. She had sent out the signal, somewhere out in deep space. The seed arcs were waking up. She quickly scanned the communication logs. The signal had already been sent 3 days ago as soon as she accepted the neural bond. The message had traveled through old subspace channels, ones no alien species used anymore, buried under layers of modern technology. No one else had noticed. No one had stopped it. Mara checked the current status. The network showed activity in dark sectors of space, areas beyond known star charts. Hundreds of small signals appeared on her map, each one a human seed arc activating. Her pulse raced. These weren't ordinary ships. They were designed to rebuild human civilization from scratch, if needed. They carried human embryos in cryostorage, AI systems with human knowledge and military defense tech to protect the new colonies. The humans of the past hadn't trusted alien species to protect the galaxy. They had left their own secret plan for return. And now that plan was in motion. Mara sat back, her mind spinning. She had thought she ended the human dominance problem by sharing control of the network. But the real human plan had always been something else, to come back physically, silently, and without asking permission. She tried to send a cancel command to the seed arcs, but the system refused. The protocol was hard-coded, locked beyond override. The human engineers had made sure that once the return signal was sent, no one could stop it, not even another human. Her communicator buzzed. Commander Elias Cade appeared on the screen, his face tired but calm. "Mara, are you all right? We're seeing strange subspace readings near the outer sectors. Mara hesitated. She could lie. She could tell him the readings were just noise. But the truth burned inside her chest. She knew she had to say it out loud. They're coming back, she whispered. Cade frowned. Who's coming back? She swallowed hard. The humans. His face froze. Mara, you are human. She shook her head slowly. Not like me. The seed arcs. The last humans. The ones who left centuries ago. I triggered their return signal. Cade sat back in silence, his eyes dark. How long do we have? Mara checked the files again. The seed arcs were already accelerating toward galactic space. Some were near the borders of known civilization. Others would arrive within weeks. They weren't broadcasting open messages yet. They were following silent return protocol. Approach first, announce later. Her voice shook. They'll be here soon. Behind her, the lights of the Galactic Union systems blinked softly, unaware of the new crisis unfolding. The galaxy thought. It had survived the human override, thought the danger was over, but the real danger had only just begun. Mara looked at the data on her screen. Hundreds of seed arcs, fully automated, fully prepared, carrying the last human legacy, new humans ready to be born, raised by AI. Programmed to rebuild civilization in the image of Earth, her neural link whispered again, the voices of the ancient. Programmers speaking softly in her mind. Welcome home, they said. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. While the Galactic Union leaders celebrated the restored network, while trade ships restarted and medical systems rebooted, something else moved quietly in the cold darkness of space. The seed arcs launched. Centuries ago, by the last humans of Earth, drifted silently toward the edges of known civilization. Their systems had been asleep for hundreds of years, but now they were awake, their ancient programming running perfectly. Each arc carried a frozen piece of humanity embryos. DNA libraries, culture archives, and AI teachers, all waiting to rebuild human life. Mara Lynn watched the incoming data in silence. Her eyes burned from sleepless nights, but she couldn't look away. The seed arcs weren't broadcasting open signals yet. They followed old human stealth protocols, staying quiet, staying hidden, but Mara could see them through her connection to the root system. They were like ghost ships from another time, sliding back into the galaxy after centuries in the void. Her mind raced. She had thought she'd save the galaxy by rewriting the control system, by creating shared governance between all species. She had believed she'd done the right thing. But the truth was worse than anything she had imagined. The humans of the past had left a backdoor plan not just to control the galactic network, but to return physically through the seed arcs and retake the galaxy in the real world. She pulled up the arc logs, reading the mission files. Each arc had a different purpose. Some carried the genetic seeds of old Earth, life animals, plants, bacteria. Others carried human embryos in frozen stasis, ready to be grown by artificial wombs and raised by AI caregivers. The arcs had been programmed to land on selected planets, build new colonies, and spread human civilization again. They carried weapons, defense, drones, atmosphere processors, and nanotech factories that could build whatever was needed. Mara's hands trembled as she read deeper. The original programmers had thought of everything. If the galaxy was peaceful, the seed arcs would integrate quietly, joining alien civilizations and helping rebuild together. But if the galaxy was hostile, the arcs would defend themselves, using old human military codes to secure landing zones and protect the new humans at any cost. Her neural link whispered again, the voices of the past humans still alive in the cognitive. Mira, we left the galaxy once, they whispered softly inside her mind, but we always planned to return. The seeds of Earth were never meant to die. Mara stared at the map, her chest tight. She realized something terrible. No one in the current galaxy had agreed to this. The alien civilizations had not been warned. Even she hadn't fully understood what she had triggered until now. The return of the seed arcs was not about peace or negotiation. It was about destiny, programmed long ago by human hands that no longer existed. Her communicator buzzed. Commander Elias Cade appeared on the screen, his face pale. "We've picked up strange object clusters near the outer sectors," he said, his voice low. "Unregistered ships. No communications." "What are we looking at, Mara?" She swallowed hard. "Seed arcs." Cade blinked. "What?" She explained everything quickly, her voice tight, her heart racing. She told him about the silent return protocol, the seed arcs, the ancient human plan. Cade sat in silence, listening, his jaw clenched. "How many are there?" he finally asked. Mara glanced at the data. "Hundreds, maybe more. Some are already in the galactic borders. Some will arrive within days." Cade's eyes narrowed. "Can we stop them?" Her throat tightened. "No, the protocols are locked. They don't listen to modern commands. They only follow the old human root code." Behind her, the Galactic Union leaders argued in urgent voices. Word was spreading. Aliens who had feared human control of the network were now terrified of human bodies returning from the edge of space. To them, this wasn't just about systems, it was about survival, they remembered. The old human empires, the wars, the power struggles. The galaxy had once lived under human dominance, and now it seemed that time was coming again. In the streets of alien capitals, protests turned into riots. People screamed about invasion, about the return of the lost species. Some begged for diplomacy, hoping the seed arcs would arrive in peace. Others demanded immediate military action, but the seed arcs didn't respond. They just kept moving silently toward their destinations. Mara's mind raced for solutions. She thought about intercepting the arcs before they landed, but the files showed that was impossible. Each arc had defense systems, stealth shields, and self-repaired drones. Some were even programmed to avoid detection until they reached specific planets chosen long ago by human scouts. And then she found something worse. The arcs had already started. Waking up the first generation of new humans, her screen flashed updates from the arc's life support logs. The AI systems were growing human embryos into full-term births. Artificial mothers' machines designed to teach language, emotion, and human culture were beginning the process of raising children. In a few months, there would be thousands of new humans alive again, scattered across different planets. Raised in isolated colonies, following lessons written centuries ago, Mara's chest tightened. These new humans would not understand the galaxy's current balance. They would not know about the fragile peace between alien species. They would know only what the seed arcs taught them, that humanity must survive, that Earth's legacy must continue, and that the galaxy was once their home. Her neural link whispered again. "Do not fear," the voices said calmly. "We designed the future. We planted the seeds. Now they must grow." Mara closed her eyes, her mind spinning. She realized the choice was no longer hers. The galaxy had crossed a line that could not be undone. The seed arcs were here. New humans were being born. The era of human absence was ending. But what kind of return would this be? Would the new humans join the galaxy peacefully, becoming part of a shared civilization? Or would they believe the galaxy belonged to them by right, as their ancestors had? Programmed? Mara knew the answer would shape the future of trillions. Her communicator buzzed again. Cade's voice came through, colder now. "Mara, the Union wants to know if this is a threat." She hesitated, then spoke the truth. "It's not a threat." Yet she whispered, "But it's not peace either." Mara Lynn stood alone in the observation chamber, staring out at the stars. Her reflection hovered faintly on the glass, her face pale and tired, eyes shadowed by days without sleep. Beyond the glass, the galaxy spun, silently planets, moons, and distant suns. But Mara knew the peace outside was a lie. The seed arcs were here. She watched the network feed scroll across her screen. Hundreds of human seed arcs had arrived at the edges of known space. Some hovered in orbit above isolated planets. Others had already begun the landing process, sending automated drones to build shelters, farms, and power systems. The arcs were working exactly as designed. Following instructions written centuries ago by the last humans of Earth, artificial wombs grew new humans. AI caregivers taught them old Earth history, languages, and survival skills. Entire generations of humanity were being born right now far from the worlds they once ruled. Mara's neural link pulsed softly. The cognitive mirror was still inside her mind, whispering in quiet tones. "This is the new beginning," the old human voices said. "We made this world for them. You must guide them now." Her throat tightened. She hadn't asked for this role. She never wanted to be the key to humanity's return. But when she connected to the network, when she merged her mind with the system, she had become part of the plan. Now the system treated her like a living bridge between the past and the future. She was the only person alive who could speak both to the galaxy's present and to its forgotten history. Behind her, the Galactic Union leaders waited for answers. Their holographic images flickered in the room's cold air. High Commander Trevax, reptilian eyes narrowed, his tail twitching behind him. "We demand a response," Trevax growled, his voice sharp. "The seed arcs are violating our space. They have not asked for permission. They are building colonies without consent." Ambassador Velia's silver skin shimmered in the dim light. "They claim planets listed in ancient human archives worlds that are now part of other species' territories. This cannot continue." The insectoid queen clicked her mandibles softly, her translated voice cold. "Is this an invasion, Mara Lin? Answer clearly. Is this the return of human empire?" Mara's hands tightened into fists at her sides. She wanted to say no. She wanted to promise that the new humans would live peacefully, that they would join the galaxy's shared network and build trust with other species. But she couldn't guarantee that. The seed arcs carried old instructions, old fears. They had been designed by humans who believed the galaxy might betray them. Those ancient humans had written orders that could not easily be erased, and now their children were waking up. Mara activated the long-range network, sending a broadcast directly to the seed arcs. Her message was simple, spoken in English and standard Galactic. "This is Mara Lin. I am the current human operator of the Galactic Network. I request immediate communication. We must discuss integration, peace, and cooperation." There was silence for several minutes. Then finally, a voice replied. It was human young, clear, and soft. But it wasn't a person. It was the ARC Coordinator AI designed to speak for the new human colonies. "Greetings, Mara Lin. We acknowledge your position. Our mission is survival and expansion, as programmed. Integration is possible, but only if it does not threaten human priority." Mara's heart sank. Human priority. That phrase had been part of the original Seed Arc protocols. It meant that human survival always came first, before diplomacy, before compromise. The Arcs would negotiate, but only if the results kept humanity in control of its own future. She sent another message. "You are returning to a galaxy that no longer belongs to one species. We share control now. The network is open to all." "You accept this reality?" The Coordinator AI replied instantly. "We accept shared systems if human autonomy remains untouched. We will not submit to alien governance. We will not give up human sovereignty. We will coexist but as equals, not subjects." Mara closed her eyes. She understood the deeper meaning. The new humans would not start wars unless forced to. But they also would not let other species control them. They would claim land, build colonies, and grow their civilization. And if anyone tried to stop them, they would fight back just as their ancestors had programmed. Her neural link whispered again. This was always the plan. The cognitive mirror said softly, "The galaxy could not run forever without human life. Machines and memory are not enough. Now the balance returns." Mara looked at the star map again. Seed arcs were not targeting core worlds or large population centers. They were settling empty planets, dead moons, and forgotten frontier zones. For now, they were not attacking anyone. They were simply growing quietly, planting new roots in the galaxy's empty spaces. But she knew how fast things could change. Alien. Civilizations would not trust these new humans easily. They would remember old wars, old empires. Some species would demand that the Seed Arcs leave or face destruction. Others would call for alliances, hoping to guide the new human colonies into peaceful cooperation. The galaxy stood on the edge of a new era, fragile. Dangerous moment, where one wrong move could spark conflict. Mara activated the Galactic Network's diplomatic channels. She sent a new message, not just to the Seed Arcs, but to every species. Every government, every colony in the galaxy. Her voice was steady, but calm. The Seed Arcs have returned. New humans are growing now on multiple planets. This is not a takeover, but it is not a withdrawal either. We face a new future together. We must choose cooperation over fear. We must build a galaxy that includes all species, including the new humans. Behind her, the Union leaders whispered nervously. Some wanted war, some wanted peace, some wanted control. No one had clear answers. Mara disconnected from the leaders for a moment and spoke privately to the Seed Arc coordinator. AI, I will help you, she whispered. But you must help me too. You cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. The galaxy cannot survive another empire. It must be something new, the AI replied in the same calm voice. Understood, Marilyn. We will consider all options. But remember, we are not the humans of Earth. We are the seeds of Earth, and we will grow in our own way. Mara stared out at the stars again. Her mind was heavy, but her heart held a small piece of hope. Maybe this time, things could be different. Maybe the galaxy could find a new balanced one where no single species ruled. But all had a place. The new galactic dawn had arrived. It was messy. It was dangerous, but it was real, and it was just beginning.